Hey everybody, this is David Caldwell and Jeff Bernheisel. We're with Hillshire Realty Group at EXP Realty, and today we're going to be talking about the Portland housing market, breaking down the market action report for the month of February 2022.
Got it. Printed it out. I always print mine out and make notes. That's so I can look at it throughout the week. And
I got mine in front of me like all week, or not
Yeah.
all week, all month, and I actually have all the old ones too. So we'll see if we might pull those out today. But let's start with new listings. So new listings increased marginally from February 2021. And they did increase from January 2022 as well, which is something that we normally see. February is kind of that last month we usually see before a huge ramp up. I know I'm on several different listing alerts that I'm on with clients. In just the last couple of weeks, where it went from maybe one or two houses that fit their needs, now we're seeing 5, 6, 7, 8. Have you been experiencing the same thing, Jeff?
Yeah, pretty much like you said, it's seasonal. Seems like this is the time of year for that. I think we might have seen it a little bit earlier this year, though.
Yeah, it could be. It's going to be interesting to see what the March stats actually put out. And we've been talking about this in our office meetings, but November, December, January, February, always the lightest months for new listings. And then we hit March, and March 2021, 3,500 listings, March 2020, 3,500 listings, March 2019, 3,500 listings, March 2018, 3,600 listings, March 2017, 3,600 listings.
Yeah, seems like March is the month where we'll see if we're on our normal path or if something's going to change.
Yeah. And to me, it looks like we're going to have a normal amount of inventory, which is great, right? Because even in this competitive market, and it's hyper competitive, we still are seeing buyers be able to go out and look at plenty of houses, right? Mm-hmm. And if there's plenty of houses to look at, it means there's more opportunities to get into contract. And that seems to be a big fear these days.
It's kind of one of the things that I made a mental note to myself about this video was like, and this is a question for you with your crystal ball. If, we're in this, like, what seems to be a crazy market, and I don't want to beat a dead horse because we talk about this almost every video, but it's like, we have the normal number of listings, normal number of properties available. Then you can go look at the stats, and it's not part of the market stats that we just got, but it's like the number of showings that are happening. Those are right in line, normal. Everybody's saying there's all this like massive amount of demand. To me, I don't see that, and I might just be missing something, but there's the same amount of people looking at homes, the same amount of homes.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
Yeah. Narratives drive markets, right? And the narrative is that there's no homes because there's no standing inventory. And I think fear of missing out will make you do crazy things, right? I mean, I'm sick of incorrectly pricing homes and them selling for way more than I thought, right? I mean, great for my sellers. Yeah. But it's hard with buyers, right? Because you can't compete with crazy. Just this last weekend, I did a video yesterday where, we had 4 houses that we put for sale, about $2.5 million worth of, total sales volume with all those houses. And we sold them for almost $300,000 over their collective list prices. We did not expect that. The market showed more demand. There were more showings on some properties that sold for kind of these extreme prices over. And then there were some that were, I'd say a normal amount of showings. What I've been talking to my sellers about is the work we used to do over 3 or 4 weeks. A lot of times now we do in 4 days. Yeah. I think we do more work in 4 days than we probably did over a month because there's way more conversations to have and people trying to figure out how to compete and win. And look, I just think people are really seeing the value in homes as they rapidly appreciate, right? Mm-hmm. But we'll talk about appreciation in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the crystal ball, narratives drive markets, and the narrative has been there's no houses to buy. And I think until that narrative changes, people are going to act the way that they're acting, especially when everything has a tendency to sell quickly.
Well, and that was kind of my follow-up question to that. Follow-up question was, what's going to make this change? Like we've been beating this drum for a little bit now, but it seems like, we need to clarify too for all of our people outside of Portland, they have a lot of shortages out there, but Portland specifically doesn't. So here in Portland, I'm like, well, what do we have to do get this to calm down and to stop.
I do think a lot of it is narrative and education, right? Or people deciding they're not going to participating in it, or the average sales price getting to a place where it's unaffordable for some and pull some buyers out of the market. But, we had the strongest year of demand last year that we've ever had. And if you count demand as pending sales,
Right.
but we did have a normal number of listings, and we had almost 5,000 listings come to the market in 2021 that didn't sell. And people are really surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
The numbers don't lie.
People were giving me a hard time about that booklet and the marketing that I was doing yesterday, because I did a little teaser video and it said something to the effect of like, why hasn't your house sold?
Yeah.
And I was getting a bunch of private messages saying, well, that's unheard of. Like, everything's selling right now. And I'm like, no, it isn't.
Jennifer on our team sent me a text message today, and it was an $80,000 price reduction on an owner occupied home in Bethany.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably, I haven't looked at the house yet. It looks like that's probably a 10% price reduction on that house. People can still improperly price their homes, even in a market that feels like a rocket ship. But again, hold on to the end of the video when we talk about appreciation, or skip to the end of or towards the end when we talk about appreciation, because we'll have good information there. So let's shift to pending sales. So pending sales were up, but we also had that increase of listings that brought the pending sales up. I think what's interesting to look at with pending sales, because we did have some carryover listings, we had 2,571 new listings. We had 2,452 pending sales. Now that makes it feel like everything is selling when we just look at those numbers, when we don't consider the carryover happening.
Right.
The big thing to look at there is that a historically normal number? And it is. In 2021, there were 2,474. In 2020, there were 2,700. In 2019, there were 2,400. In 2018, there were 2,500. So if you guys are watching, we go back to history a lot because it seems to be repeating itself. Almost regardless of the market, the history of the market has a tendency to repeat itself. The only thing that doesn't repeat is appreciation. So, it appreciates in the fact that 26 of 30 years, the market's appreciated, but every year the numbers seem to be about the same. So let's look at solds real quick, and then we can talk about average sales price. That's what people really want to know. Closed sales, there's just a little bit of a decrease in those carryover. When we look at what's normal, we had 1,939. What's normal historically? 2021, 1,847. 2022, 1,897. 2019, 1,726. 2018, 1,806. Pretty normal. Up a little bit. It's what you would expect when the mindset in the market is what it is, and homes are selling quickly, and rates are great, and rapid appreciation. What are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Business as usual, I guess it's the best way to say it. There's nothing that jumps out there that, other than what everybody else seems to be saying. And like you said, numbers don't lie. So
inventory held steady at 8 months. Now, a lot of realtors and a lot of people think months of inventory, that this just means no homes are on the market, right? 0.8 months. This is not a fuel gauge, however. Months of inventory is more of a speedometer. That's the analogy that we've been using recently. It's how fast homes are selling. And in Portland, homes are selling super fast. There's no way to look past that. If a great home comes available, there's several buyers for it, right? If a bad house comes available, sometimes there's several buyers if it's priced right.
The stat that was just on the screen there, it said 35 days is the average time now. It was 42 last year, so we lost another week. So it's like it's getting worse.
Yeah, but
everything's faster.
Yeah, but here's what's going to be really interesting, right? Because we're about to get to appreciation. We're just going to skip. We're going to go straight to appreciation. Who cares about the last part? The 12-month rate of appreciation is 10.5%. And if you've been watching these videos, this is something we've been really focused on. Because if we go back to June of 2021, which I'm going to argue was the height of the market, The 12-month rate of appreciation was 20.1%. And it has declined month over month since June. And the difference between January and February is actually the single largest decline, because last month it was 14%. And now it's 10.5%. Now, we've kind of called, or I've kind of called, and again, no crystal ball, that I think we're going to see appreciation somewhere around 8% this year. So I was expecting to see the 12-month rate of appreciation actually increase this month. But this is interesting, right? Because we now have an average sales price of $584, $100 in Portland. We can't ignore the fact that Portland has the cheapest real estate of any major West Coast city. Look at Seattle, look at San Francisco, look at Los Angeles, look at San Diego.
I try to tell everybody that when they start complaining about our prices, and I'm like, hey, we're still hanging in there on the lower side.
Yeah. We have 26 years of pricing appreciation out of the last 30 years, right? Gas prices are going up, rates went up and they went down. We have this terrible conflict in Ukraine. We've had a lot of problems in the world in the last 30 years, and Portland real estate has kind of persisted through it and had, we had the great recession, we had values go down. Otherwise, values just kind of seem to persist. So, this one's interesting to me because this does kind of speak to demand as well. When I see that we were at 20% and now we're at 10%, and that means sellers are not pricing their homes as aggressively with the increases. It means buyers on average, not every situation, but on average, aren't bidding up as high as maybe they were, right? You're really starting to see this 12-month rate of appreciation slide. And I think this is a really important thing for home buyers and home sellers to look at, because if you're a seller, this hyper sellers market that we're in, this window where you might get more than you deserve or more than you thought you'd get, could be coming to a close. And for buyers, I think this is good news, because with these additional options coming to the market and you seeing a tangible pace where the market's slowing down, I think this is something to be excited about.
I was gonna say my buyers and myself on behalf of them are like, thank God.
Yeah. And I just thought about it, like going back and looking at like, where was it in February 2021? The 12-month rate of appreciation was 14.8%. So that's tangible. That's a tangible difference. Mm-hmm. So, I think like when we're on the subject of like buyers being happy, right? I mean, we really believe that if you're looking to buy or sell real estate, that this is the information that matters first, right? This is how you gauge decisions. There's always another house. I've been selling real estate for 15 years. There's always another house for someone to fall in love with. Always. This information.
We keep having to fall back on that too.
Yeah.
Another one's coming. It's fine.
There's always another one coming. So, but I think, as we're all competing through this market, right? As we're all going through it, this information, it's benchmarks, right? And if anyone watching this wanted to see like what's going on in your specific area, right? The Pearl District, that's a normal market to be a buyer in right now. It's actually tough to be a seller. Mm-hmm. But if you want a normal buying experience, man, buy vertical living in Portland right now, especially downtown or in the Pearl District. Totally normal buying experience. But if there's an area that you live, you want to know what's going on, you want details like this on the market, Jeff or we'd be totally happy to provide you with that. You could email Jeff at hillshirerealtygroup.com, me, David at hillshirerealtygroup.com, or even like put a comment below of like an area where you want to see 12-month rate of appreciation, and we can answer that for you. What else would you add?
We have the tools.
We have the tools.
My dog's freaking out in the background. Sorry. It's just, I'm trying to think of like, I hate using fear tactics and I hate seeing that, but you said something that I wanted to touch on where I think we have a shortening window on the seller side of things. And and I'll go back to what I said earlier, this coming month, I think we're going to see, one way or the other, which direction this is going to go. I have a feeling it's just going to be business as usual, even though we're on the brink of World War III or whatever people keep saying, but life goes on. I mean, here in the States with the real estate market, it seems like no matter what is going on out there, this is just going to keep driving. So
yeah, and it's always hard to say, right? Like what's going to affect something, but the market, 2019, we had 1.5% of appreciation. Coronavirus hits, bunch of money goes into the economy, inflation begins, right? All these things. Well, the real estate market took off like a rocket. And if it could take off like a rocket, it can shift too.
yeah,
And, like I was thinking about this scenario of like, is it possible to sell high and buy low in this market? Yeah. If you've owned a home for 10 years, which the average homeowner has, you have gotten incredible appreciation over the last decade. You've got incredible appreciation over the last 24 months.
Mhm.
Incredible appreciation. If you were to sell your house, go into the market and purchase a new one, which I don't know about you, I haven't had any clients be unsuccessful. I don't think you have either.
No.
People go into the market and purchase a new home. 10 years from now, the likelihood you feel like a genius is very high, right? Like it's incredibly probable, right? When you look at the history of Portland real estate and appreciation and the fact that we are the lowest cost major West Coast city. Is this a reason to overpay for a house? No. Is it okay to pay 3 months in advance in this market? Sure. Right? You can pay 3 months in advance, right? It might take you another month or 2 months to find a house, right? From the time you go into contract to the time you close, you generally have equity. So, yeah, I agree with you. I hate using fear, but we love educating, right? Like we are a education-based real estate company. It's all we talk about.
Yeah, we don't have the looks and the personalities to go do anything, that's for sure.
Hey, dorks over influencers. That's my new thing. Dorks
Thanks.
over influencers.
I'll take
If
it.
you want to get a hold of you, Jeff, how would they do that?
My phone number is 503-780-4596. You can call, text, or David said the email address, jeff@hillshirerealtygroup.com. Either way, leave comments on whatever platform you're watching this on. Slide into the DMs, David always says.
Yep, slide into the DMs. You could just, easiest way for me is david@hillshirerealtygroup.com. If you guys have questions, comments, whatever, leave them. We'll answer them. Send us a message. We'd love to talk to you. Thanks for doing this, Jeff.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.